And there we go, we're live on our first live for Giving Tuesday today of quite a few, and when we're ready to celebrate really all that we've done in the last month and ask people for the last push really to be able to really support the 70/30 campaign and reaching its goal. So yeah, I think no one's quite joined us yet, Debbie, but we might give them a moment and have some things anyway. So how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm fine. I had just typical morning, rushing about, doing the school run, coming back, getting some housework done in between. So yeah, just typical day.
Typical day, mixing in some great fundraising in the meantime as well, and some great
Exactly. Yeah.
volunteering to make the world a better place for all the kids,
Yeah.
especially after school runs and stuff. It just shows you a little bit more while you're doing this, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. Yep, definitely.
And oh, we've got some people joining us. Please do say hi in the comments as well, as we'd love to say hi. We're only going to do a shorter live today with everyone than we usually do, rather than the full hour, and just kind of check in with what we're doing and why we're doing all of this. So yeah, I guess, Debbie, starting off, you know, we're both part of the team here, so I've not scheduled a live on my own, so I'll be answering the questions as well a little bit. But yeah, why are you fundraising for Giving Tuesday?
Well, Giving Tuesday is very important in my life. It's very close to my heart. I'm obviously a fellow ambassador for the Wave Trust. I have been for the past year, I think. And I didn't, to be honest, you know, I've suffered through life with ACEs and trauma. And to be honest, I never really understood what was happening. And I never really knew that what I went through my childhood and, you know, adolescence is what made me struggle, you know, as an adult. So I think this is why this is important, because we need to make people aware of trauma. We need to make people aware of how important it is to be trauma informed, because the difference that, you know, a trauma informed adult in a child's life, the difference that could make is just unbelievable. So this fundraiser is basically it's a push to get as much help as we can to get, you know, more ambassadors, to get more funding to help ambassadors like myself, to get training done, and then we can then pass on, you know, what we're learning and our lived experience to hopefully make a difference to our kids, because at the end of the day, it's the kids they're the future. You know, as adults, yep, we've been through it all and we're still suffering, and yeah, it does help us as well. Don't get me wrong, you know, that all of this does help adults, you know, try and get through things as well and recognise the trauma and what can be done. But it's so important to stop it. We need to end it. We have to really stop it before it starts, basically, or have things in place where there is support and, you know, there is things available for kids that could be going through ACEs, because everybody's going to go through ACEs in their life. You know, it's unavoidable. Things are going to happen.
And even if it's not, you know, officially what we'd call ACEs, you know, everyone will have some kind of event that might be traumatic or needs buffering in some way, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I mean, things as well, you know, things for some kids could be like water off a duck's back. You know, normal day-to-day things maybe won't bother them, but for other kids, it could be, you know, it could be traumatic in a different way for them. So it's about, you know, being able to have, you know, people in authority that can recognise these signs and pick up on these things to try and help put things in place before it goes wrong, before, you know, we end up getting adults like myself and, you know, we need to get it sorted.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, yeah, my reasons are quite similar to yours, though with a bit more of a long-term perspective, I think, on the power of the 70/30 campaign, as I've been involved, not quite from the start, but really quite early on. You know, I've been involved with Wave definitely for 6 years, and I kind of started out with, you know, recruiting some new ambassadors and seeing what we were doing and some of the social media stuff. And we were at the stage where people had no idea what adverse childhood experiences might be. People had no idea that trauma could affect your physical health and your life choices and everything, or your, you know, employability, or
Yeah.
all of those things beyond just your mental health. And you know, now I'm seeing everything that the campaign has achieved, and we're seeing, you know, local councils like Edinburgh being able to commit to becoming trauma informed, and we're seeing schools and police forces and, you know, all kinds of other, you know, local councils across England as well starting to look into, can we get trauma-informed training out there? Can we look at this? And I've also seen an acknowledgement on a political level of we need to be preventing this rather than just dealing with it afterwards. And that was unheard of, if I do think at the very start. So I can just think we've got 9 more years now to reach this goal of a 70% reduction by 2030. And I know that if we have the right support for ambassadors, and if we have more ambassadors in local communities making that difference, we are going to reach that goal. So yeah, really anything that anyone can give is a huge help. Any little thing, a bit of time, a bit of money, spread the news, spread awareness around these issues, it will make a huge difference.
Definitely. The more we talk about things, it doesn't just help people that are going through things to talk, but the more that we make other people aware of the situations, it helps so much. I mean, I never would have imagined a year ago me sitting here would be able to talk to politicians. The training that I have received, from the Wave Trust has gave me the tools that I needed, has given me the confidence, the information, trauma-informed training. So, it's the things that I have just achieved over this past year through being a part of the Wave Trust has been absolutely amazing. And I'm just one person, so if we can get this out to all the ambassadors and get new ambassadors in, it's going to be amazing. We will reach this target and beyond. This is lifelong. It's not just going to stop at that date. It's lifelong. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
And I think that's great. Oh, we've got Will as well in the comments. Hi, Will.
Oh, hi, Will.
Yeah, I think for me, what you're saying of the impact of one person, it's cascading. It goes throughout. Even if you become fully trauma-informed in your own life and it's just one person, the person who you meet might not get triggered in a way that makes things worse. You might be able to protect one more person. You might be able to break a cycle of things that have been passed down throughout your family and stop that from going on. And that continues throughout. It continues in the mental health of the people you come in contact with, their physical health, their contacts. If you think of it from a child's perspective of what you were saying there, of being trauma-informed within your own family, for example, that means that they're more likely to do better at school, to do better at work, to be able to help society themselves, to not end up in the criminal justice system, to, do all kinds of things. And it's just, it ripples outwards.
Exactly. I mean, the world, some people say the world, I absolutely hate this word, junkie. People say, oh, junkies, alkies, blah, blah, blah. These are people. I've been, addicted to prescription medication. I was addicted for 15 years. It was the only way that I could function from day to day. And, we're people, we're human beings. This is a result of things that we've been through and things that have happened. Instead of just looking down at people thinking, oh, look at them, ask what's happened, ask why this has happened. And then we can learn, and then we can stop future generations from it happening. I mean, for example, I can remember in primary school, every day I would go to primary school and I would maybe stay, maybe 20 minutes if you were lucky. Then because I was suffering at the time from really bad anxiety as a child, which nobody knew obviously at the time, I just got up, got my bag, walked out the primary school, walked out the school gates and walked a mile to where my mum worked. Every single day at primary school, throughout my whole primary school life, I did that because I couldn't cope. And nobody in authority done anything. Nobody thought to try and help. Nobody thought to ask what was happening. The only one person from, an authoritative perspective was the lollipop man. And he knew, because he seen the pattern, so he would wait after his shift every single day to make sure that he was there, to make sure I was safe. It was a busy main street, to cross me over till I went to my mum's work. Thankfully I was safe, and thankfully it was okay. Thankfully I had a place at my mum's work where I could go, but that should never have happened. We need the people at the beginning, nurseries, primary schools. We need them to be aware of the signs, of the triggers, just to I know they're busy. I know they've got, class full of 30 kids, but if they're trauma informed, then they could pick up and they could help just even one child make such a difference. I mean, that affected me for the rest of my life, because then I followed on with other things happened, you know, nobody there to help, thinking it was fine, and it wasn't fine. You know, we really, yeah, more ambassadors, the more of us, the more we can talk, the more we can get the message out there, hopefully, and help the kids. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, we can make that difference. And I think something that comes to me from your story is, you know, what you were saying of that kind of stigma against, you know, certain people. It might be mental health issues, it might be substance issues, it might be whatever. But, you know, you can see that you are now being able to help the world and do so much for the world despite that history, and possibly because of that history. Because you had someone who gave you an opportunity or believed in you or gave you the tools to do that. And we need to give other people those opportunities as well, and that chance to kind of have better coping mechanisms, to not need the coping mechanisms in the first place against things that are bigger than them. And we can achieve that because you can see, you know, you were able to take a step in the right direction and help yourself. And I'm sure that you still have your bad days like everyone else in the entire world.
Definitely.
But, you know, you're helping so many people in the meantime, and I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, well, as you say, I mean, you know, I suffer every day still anxiety, depression. I have PTSD because of, you know, things that have happened. You know, I've been through mental abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, addiction. So yeah, there's not a single day where there's not something in my head, you know, that's bringing something up from the past. But being able to recognise what's happened, being able to recognise it wasn't my fault, and then knowing that, as you say, I can help other people. You know, I can get these tools and get the things that I need to then maybe help one other person or one other child. And that's just, that's massive, absolutely massive. And it makes me feel as well, you know what, my life does have a meaning. Because I know I should, again, I should be one of those statistics where, yep, I have tried to commit suicide twice, you know, when I had a nervous breakdown. So I possibly couldn't be here maybe. So yeah, knowing that, you know, my life is worth living, that I can make these changes, I can help people, it's just an amazing feeling. It's great. And, you know, I'm not doing it for anything. You know, I'm not doing it for anything in return. I don't get paid for doing this. You know, I'm not wanting all this recognition or anything. I'm just wanting to help people. So yeah, that's why we need the funding. We need to get more people. We need the funding.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm getting a phone call in the background in the meantime. I will have to ring them back in a moment. But yeah, I 100% agree. I think, you know, and that's the beautiful thing about this. It is a volunteer network. You know, everyone is giving their time, and that's one of the ways that people can get involved in Giving Tuesday. You know, if you don't want to just donate money, become an ambassador, give some of your time, and it doesn't have to be infinite quantities of time. You know, just being able to contribute something regularly in your community makes all the difference. I know that I was able to do lots in Aberdeen as a volunteer when I was a full-time student and I was working part-time and I was doing everything, and you were still able to achieve so much. In fact, we had a first meeting this week, I think, with people interested in having a steering group. We had, you know, 18 people who'd been emailed out. And if I think that, you know, just 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, probably, it was kind of just me trying to see if there was anyone else interested in the same things. It's, you know, you can have such a huge difference. So yeah, we've only got really a couple more minutes, I think, in our fun thing. So please, anything you can give, you can go to www.wavetrust.org. There's a big red donate button in the top right. You'll just be asked to fill in how much you're donating, why you're donating, and your payment details, and anything you can give will be a huge help. And we will be sending out some updates tomorrow about how much we've managed to fundraise and what we've managed to do. But Debbie, as kind of a final thing, I wanted to ask you before we have all that information, what kind of a difference do you feel we've been able to make through this Giving Tuesday campaign so far?
A massive difference, even just people being aware of who we are and what we do and what we want to achieve, because so many people never even knew that, you know, this was a thing. So through this Giving Tuesday, it's been incredible. We now have so much more support, you know, more networks, more people talking. Yeah, it's just been absolutely amazing. So it's definitely worthwhile, and I'm so pleased that we've all done this, because it is going to help, you know, the kids of the future.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I think we've seen that. We'll have some other people talking about this in a bit more detail, some of the later lives today. Do keep an eye out. I think our next one's at 1 p.m.
That's right.
But, you know, we've been able to get the information out in local communities as well as online and make that difference. And we've been able to link up with other charities that are doing things that are similar. You know, this is something we have to do together. Ultimately, you know, it's not something that could just will happen. We have to all get involved, and
the whole community, all the community needs to come together. It definitely takes a village to raise children, as I say, definitely. Yeah.
And it's a grassroots campaign for that reason. It has to come from the community, for what the community wants, what the community needs, and the solutions that the community can think of. So please do become 70/30 ambassadors, donate now. And I can see Will giving us lots of amazing hashtags in the comments. Thanks, Will.
Thank you, Will.
Keep an eye out for everything else we're going to be doing today. Thank you again, Debbie, for your time. And I will get back to whoever tried to ring me. Have a great day.
Okay.
See
Thanks
you
very
tonight.
much. Bye.
See you tonight, Debbie. We've got a big celebration.
That's right, 7 o'clock.
It's 7 p.m. I forgot to say. Please do come along. We'll be having a big team celebration at the end. So yeah, I'll see you then, Debbie.
That's great. Thanks. Bye.